Hello, everyone, and welcome to What Do Lawyers Do? We have an amazing event planned for you all today. Thank you so much for your patience. We know how technology can sometimes be, and we appreciate all of you for being with us today. I want to just give a special shout out to the Bar Association, as well as to Adrienne Williams for this opportunity to be a part of this amazing event. My name is Patricia Hartley, and I bring you greetings from the Student Academic Resource Center at the University of Central Florida. In addition to that, I also host a national podcast called NCLCA Today. It is a podcast that inspires and follows the road of learning center professionals along their way to academic success and working in the field of learning centers. I am honored to be here with you today for this amazing event. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our panelists. We have an amazing group of panelists with us. I will start off by introducing the Honorable Justice Evelyn J. Laporte, who has traveled a long and winding road in her journey to the bench. She was born and raised in Juana Diaz, Puerto Rico. When she arrived in New York City in 1973, she did not even speak any English. Undaunted, she plunged forward, struggling with the language as she attended CUNY colleges and eventually found her way to John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Like many students, Justice Laporte had to work many jobs just to get by. She did babysitting, was a telephone operator, and even worked in a meat factory, to name a few. Her diligence paid off. She received a bachelor's of science degree in criminal justice from John Jay College of Criminal Justice and went on to earn a master's degree in criminal justice from the same college. In 1986, Justice Laporte received a Juris Doctorate degree from the Antioch School of Law in Washington, D.C., and upon her graduation from law school, Justice Laporte returned to New York City and began her many years of public service. While there are so many different accolades and different involvement that Judge Laporte has, I would like to just ask everybody to welcome the Honorable Justice Evelyn J. Laporte to our panel today. Our next panelist is Judge Darrell Manning. Judge Darrell Manning, originally from Queens, New York, has been a Hillsborough County judge in Tampa, Florida since 2015. He presides over a drug court division and a unified family court division. Judge Manning obtained the Master of Laws, LLM, from the Army Judge Advocate Legal Center and School at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia. His Juris Doctorate from St. John's University School of Law in Queens, New York, and his Bachelor of Arts from the University of South Carolina in Columbia, South Carolina. Judge Manning was a member of both the National Conference of Bar Examiners and the Florida Bar Board of Bar Examiners, where he served as chair from 2013 to 2015. He was a member of the Florida Bar Grievance Committee in Hillsborough and is a certified guardian. Um, Judge Manning has been a mentor in the Big Brother, Big Sister program for many years to a now teenager and serves on several boards in Tampa. As an adjunct law professor, he teaches criminal procedure as well as many other courses in serving our country. Thank you so much and welcome Judge Darrell Manning to the panel as well. Up next, we have attorney Antoine Daniels. Attorney Antoine Daniels graduated from the Florida State University in Tallahassee, Florida, with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in criminal justice and a minor in English. Attorney Daniels graduated from FAMU College of Law in Orlando, Florida. While in law, he was a student ambassador. He won the Spirit of Service Award and served as the community service chair for the Black Law Student Association. In addition, Attorney Daniels was selected for a summer clerkship with the United States Army JAG program in Atlanta, Georgia. In his spare time, Attorney Daniels serves as a mentor for at-risk youth throughout the Tampa Bay area. Attorney Daniels is a volunteer high school basketball coach at a local high school, and he has been a proud participant with the Lawyers for Literacy program since 2013. And just as a side note, he is a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma. Up next, we have Attorney Heather Washington. Attorney Heather Washington graduated from Wayne State University with a Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology and a minor in Spanish in 2007. She later went on to earn a Juris Doctorate from Western Michigan University, Thomas M. Cooley Law School. Following her admissions to the State Bar of Michigan in 2017, she started her career working for the city of Detroit as a prosecutor, where she handled civil infractions, misdemeanors, and felonies from start through disposition. After 2 years with the city of Detroit, Heather went on to work for a large firm where she practiced civil insurance defense. After a year with that firm, Heather left to start her own firm in 2020. Today, Heather is the founding attorney of the Washington law firm located in Southfield, Michigan, where she practices in the areas of criminal defense, landlord tenant, civil, and family law. One of Heather's many notable achievements is her work on the Flint water crisis, where she contributed to civil litigation that led to a settlement of more than, listen to this, y'all, $600 million for children who were affected by lead poisoning. Heather is also involved in the community. She's a board member of the D. Augustus Stryker Bar Association, where she chairs both the membership and fundraising committees. Heather is also a member of the Black Women Lawyers of Michigan Bar Association. Everybody, please welcome to the panel attorney Heather Washington. And last but not least, we also have attorney William E. Brown. Attorney William Brown is currently in San Antonio, Texas, and is a strategic, well-connected, and highly regarded leader with a passion for service and producing positive healthcare outcomes. William received his undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt University, where he was a student athlete on the varsity football team. He earned a Juris Doctor degree from St. Louis University School of Law and a LLM with a certification in administrative and civil law from the Judge Advocate General's Legal Center and School. William is a graduate of the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College, and he is currently pursuing his MBA from St. Mary's University School of Business. I would like to welcome all of our panelists. Thank y'all so much for being with us. Now we're going to go ahead and get it started. So I have a series of questions that we're going to ask our panelists, and then we'll give probably about 30 minutes or so at the end so that our audience can also ask some questions as well. Now I'm going to target each one of our panelists on this question. The rest of them, I'm going to let you just kind of, go from your heart. But I'd like for each of our panelists, and I'm going to start with Judge Evelyn Laporte. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to the field of law. Judge Laporte, you are on mute. Unmute yourself because we want to hear that story.
I'm very sorry. Good morning, everyone. First of all, before I answer my question or the question posed, I want to thank everybody for attending this very important panel and event. I want to thank Patricia Harley, the moderator. She is awesome. But first of all, I want to thank Adrianette Williams for the invitation to be part of this panel. And I am honored and excited to be here today. All right, what led me to the practice of law? To be honest with all of you, I never thought about practicing law. I came to New York from Puerto Rico after a year of college, a year and a half of college, to be a flight attendant. I never thought about the law. I never thought about being a lawyer. I didn't know anything about it. So I just wanted to come to New York, learn English, and be a flight attendant so I could travel for free. However, in doing so, getting doing the interviews, I wasn't hired, distraught, disappointed, and disillusioned. I said, well, I need to learn English. I go back to school, learn the language, and then at the same time get a degree. In the meantime, during that journey, I became in contact with the law, and I was fascinated by it. And I decided to go after the law and put being a flight attendant back on the back of my head. Then from after finishing my years in college, which because I didn't know any English, it took me about 10 years to complete my degree. I had to work during the day and so to support myself and my family back home. And then I study all my school years were at night. And sometimes I was employed, unemployed, I was on welfare, I was on food stamps, and I was a real mess at times. But my school never, I never left my school, or even though I decided and I thought about quitting, but I didn't have the nerve to do so. So after becoming aware of the law, took some courses, then I decided that I was going to go to law school, and I went to law school. It wasn't easy, but I made it. And then I became an attorney, and for the past, what I will say, 20 something years, I was an attorney for 18 years and then 16 years as a judge. And I love it. I think it's the best decision I ever made. If I have to do it again, I will do it the same way. I mean, I will change certain things, but it's an excited career. So that's my journey in a nutshell as to why I decided to study law.
Thank you so much for sharing that journey. I think it's very important and just respectable of the fact that you're very transparent with your journey. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
I'm going to ask Antoine to go next, attorney Antoine Daniels.
All right, all right. Good morning, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. First of all, what led me to the practice of law? Well, I'll say that it started with me going to talk to my mom when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I told her that I wanted to become an attorney. That decision came from looking at individuals like Thurgood Marshall and things of that nature that fought for our people. Also, growing up in South St. Petersburg, Florida, there was a lot of civil unrest that occurred when a young man was killed by police officers down there when I was in middle school. So that reignited my passion to know that I had to be a change advocate, and that's what I like to kind of coin myself with respects to being an attorney. So that fed into me wanting to continue on with the practice of law and going into law. So in a nutshell, I'll say that my mother being a major push for me, wanted to continue with my law career, as well as seeing the unrest that was going on in my community. Those are the things that led me to the practice of law. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Attorney Heather Washington.
Good morning, everyone. So what led me to the practice of law? Growing up, I had many different ideas of what I wanted to do with my life. It wasn't until around my freshman or sophomore year in undergrad that I was invited to an open house at the law school at the undergrad that I went to. And that's really what sparked my interest. However, I graduated with my bachelor's degree, and at that point wanted so much independence and moved out, and then bills start coming in. So now I have to maintain a lifestyle, I have to pay bills and all of the sort. So I deferred admissions to law school. I actually applied, got accepted, and deferred because at that point I needed to maintain a job so that I could maintain my apartment, my car, and all of those things. So I deferred admissions for about 6 years, and then finally went, because at that point I was just thinking, if I keep deferring, I'm never going to go. So I finally went, and do not regret that decision. Wish I would have gone earlier, but appreciative of my life experiences that I had in the meantime between undergrad and law school that prepared me even more for the practice of law.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Heather. And Judge Manning.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is certainly an honor to be here with this esteemed panel. More importantly, it's great to see all of you all out there. This is a tremendous opportunity that I wasn't afforded to be able to sit and to hear from some tremendous people that have great accomplishments. I'm certainly in awe of them just hearing their stories. But what you're going to realize is all of our journeys are different. We have all taken different paths to get where we wanted to be. And that doesn't mean one is right or one is wrong, but it worked for us. So you're going to need to decipher and figure out your own journey and what works for you. Hopefully, you'll be able to learn a little bit about what we have done and incorporate some of that into your plan. And you have to know that failure to plan is, or if you don't plan at all, you're going to be a failure. So you want to plan. It's never too early to start doing that. It's never too early to work on a plan. Certainly it'll change as you go throughout your years, but it's never too early. And that's what I did. When I was younger, I was watching all the TV shows, all the lawyer shows, and I said, that's what I want to do. But I had a number of other goals because I grew up in New York and I had exposure to all kinds of people from all around the world, and I wanted to travel. And so I tried to figure out how can I incorporate that in my goal of being a lawyer and then also traveling. But I knew, probably just like many of you all, finances were tight. My family wasn't independently wealthy, and I had to figure out a way to make that work. So what I did is I decided to join the military. I enlisted in the Army. The interesting thing is that I did it at 17. So probably not far from the age that many of you all are, 17, 18, 20, somewhere in that range. But the interesting thing, and many of the lawyers will understand this, one of the first things that you discuss in law school is contracts. And because I was a minor, I wasn't able to sign the military contract. So my mom had to sign my first enlistment contract on my behalf because I was 17. And so, but that was the start. I thought I was going to be there for a short period of time. I ended up staying in the military over 30 years. Never a plan, but it was a way for me to accomplish my goals, which was to travel the world, which I have had an opportunity to do, but also to enable me to get to law school, to finance that, and then to become a lawyer. So that was my path. I ended up after a stint in the military, I received a ROTC scholarship, went to undergrad. After that, I went on to active duty for a little while. Again, traveled the world, probably some places I didn't necessarily want to be, namely Iraq, but you know, you take the good with the bad. I signed up for it, and with the benefits come the responsibilities. So I did my tours, did everything I had to do, and then went on to law school. Graduated law school, became an attorney, enjoyed doing that work. And then a number of years later, after 16 years actually practicing as an attorney, I was appointed a judge about 6 years ago. So I've been enjoying doing that, serving the community. I love the law, and I think this is an outstanding career. And if you choose to do so, I think you'll love it as well.
Thank you so much for that, Judge Manning. We do have a panelist who was not able to make it today. And so sitting in for that panelist, we are going to have attorney Adrianette Williams. And for that, I'm just going to give a little bit of an introduction. I've known Adrianette for a very long time. And I would just like to say she's dynamic, and this event that she's put together is amazing. She is the former assistant director of the Florida Bar and now managing attorney of dependency in Hillsborough County. And she now serves on the board of directors for the George Floyd Foundation. She is also an ABA Young Lawyers Division Scholar. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome attorney Adrianette Williams, and also coordinator of this event to the panel as well. Adrianette, just like I asked the other panelists, can you real quickly give us a little bit about your journey and how you came to the field of law?
Good morning. First of all, thank you for hosting this event, Patricia. And I have known that I wanted to be an attorney from the time I was a little child. I would have my mom be the judge. My sister was the defendant. Her babies were held into custody, and I was the attorney. And I was, and I terrorized her. But I thank her for that experience. From then on, I actually enrolled in a program called Teen Court. I did teen court all 4 years of high school. And then I kind of delayed it because I wasn't sure and confident in myself of like, okay, maybe I need more. So I went to undergrad in business administration because I knew I wanted to own my own firm. And I always knew like, I want to understand the business behind it. So I got that degree, went on to get my master's degree in communications. That's where I met our moderator, Patricia Hartley. During that time, I became a college professor, and I taught speech and communications for 3 years, saved up enough money to really help catapult my first year through law school. When I got the chance to attend Cooley Law School, I applied, struggled with the Lsat, tried to take it on my own. Finally, someone came to me and said, hey, take the Kaplan course, paid the money, well worth it, took the class, got the score I needed, never looked back. I don't regret my journey at all. So I'm glad to share this with you guys today.
And thank you so much, Attorney Williams, for sharing that with us as well. Now I'm going to ask a series of questions, and panelists, feel free to just kind of come from your heart. My first question that I'm going to ask you today is, what are some things that you wish you knew before going to law school?
I'll take it. All right. As I said before, uh, I- Judge Manning says to plan. I really didn't plan going to law school ahead of time. I just liked the law and decided that I was going to do it no matter what. But I wish I was more familiar with what entails to go to law school. Um, Financial process, what law school is best for you, how do you choose a law school, what the law schools offers, in the event that you have any problems during your law school years, whether the law school will support or provide services to help you to make sure that you graduate from law school. Where do you get help in the event that you need help of any kind? And to become familiar with the law school before you go in. Remember, law school is a 3 years contract. It's a 3 years thing that you're going to spend within four walls. So it will be helpful to know that that's the law school that you want to spend your years at, because besides that, law school is demanding. I will say it's demanding and it's hard, but not impossible. And you can do it if you commit to it. But it will be something that you want to spend 3 years at, so you don't have to deal with the question of, I don't like this environment, I don't think I fit, or I don't like the staff, or the school doesn't help me. So knowing a little more about the school that you're going to attend, what services it provides, how do they, will they going to be able to help you, whether it is a school that you feel comfortable with, the campus, the staff, and the professors and what they offer, I think is very important. And I wish, I mean, I knew a little bit about the law school that I wanted it to go to, but I wish I knew more, even though I was happy with the school of my law school of my choice.
If I could pick up on where Justice Laporte left off, she's absolutely right. Certainly demanding, no question about that. I think we all wish we knew a little bit more. I think we all wish we had an opportunity to attend a seminar like this. This is tremendous. This is great. You're getting direct information from people that have gone through that journey, from people that are sharing with you that we knew very little about it. I didn't have parents or grandparents or aunts and uncles that were lawyers. I didn't have a whole plethora of people talking about the law, sitting around the dinner table, talking about cases. Where I learned about the law was what I would see on TV, a show called LA Law, or another TV show, Law and Order, those kind of things. That's where I got my introduction to the law. But when you talk about what we wish we knew, what I wish I knew was how much reading and writing was going to be involved. Those are certainly not my strong suits. Those weren't areas that I was fully versed in. And so I wish I was an English major in undergrad, where I would have done a lot of writing, because that's what lawyers do. I mean, go figure. 200 pages a night, and don't be put off by any of this. Don't say, oh my goodness, 200 pages a night? Yes, 200 pages a night, reading chapter upon chapter, reading cases upon cases. How are you going to learn the material other than reading it? And not only reading it, while you're watching TV or a movie or Netflix or anything like that, but reading it in a quiet, calm environment where you can read and digest the information so you can fully understand it, because you're going to get in class the next day and you're going to have to stand up in class and you're going to have to discuss that case. You're going to have to recite what happened, what the facts are. You're going to have to analyze it. You're going to have to discuss the law that's applicable to that case. And all that is in preparation for you becoming a lawyer. So when you go into court, when you do an oral argument, when you represent a client and you're arguing before the judge or the appellate panel or whoever it may be, you are fully prepared and ready to go. So those are some of the things that I wish I knew going in, and I probably would have prepared myself a little bit better It's not a specific requirement to have a pre-law undergraduate degree. It's not that that doesn't help, but my suggestion would be get a degree in something that requires you to read, requires you to write, requires you to express yourself. Because if you're really interested in the law and going through law school, those are going to be some tangible skills you're definitely going to need.
Thank you, Judge Manning. It looks like Antoine, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, just briefly, just to kind of echo off with Judge Manning, one thing that I wish that I would have done is take advantage of opportunities in front of you. By that, I mean, if you look at this panel, you have a very wide range of attorneys here. Growing up where I came from, I didn't meet or know of any Black attorneys personally until probably college. So one thing that I wish that I would have done before going to law school is to reach out to someone like a Judge Manning or to a Miss Washington or or Miss Williams, in order to talk about their experience so that I can see what it was like for them to go through law school, because sometimes there are different challenges that they would know about that the other attorneys may not. I think that's one thing that if I could go back, that I would have done differently. But other than that, I definitely echo, the other two that were in front of me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Antoine. Heather, do you have anything to add?
I do. I wanted to actually echo Attorney Daniels. So networking is such a big piece of it. Law school is extremely important, and your grades and academics are extremely important, but networking is almost equally as important. I was involved in on-campus organizations during law school, but I didn't do a really good job networking outside of campus, and I really wish I had. So after I graduated, I definitely jumped on it, and I was trying to meet as many people as I can. I joined bar associations I'm still a member of, but now I see so many students who are reaching out to these bar associations and reaching out to people like myself and everyone else on this panel. And there's so many opportunities. You can shadow, you can do so many things. The classes will teach you the book work, but if you're actually out there in the field, shadowing someone, talking to someone, you can see it firsthand, and it's so different when you're actually doing it as opposed to when you're studying it in school. It'll help you determine which area you really want to practice in, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. It's really, really helpful. So I would just say that try to find someone, reach out to someone. Typically attorneys are very willing to, take someone under their wing and mentor. Find someone that you can use as a mentor and ask them questions, shadow them, take advantage of their knowledge, pick their brain as much as you can.
I think I'd like to add to that. I think a couple things. Judge Manning hit on a really good point of considering your major, but I will say this too: be very strategic. Don't struggle through undergrad when you maybe can do drama as a major and get I'm serious, and get a good, solid GPA, because that's one of the things that is considered, that LSAT score and that GPA. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's better to get a solid GPA, have that LSAT score, and maybe do outside things, just like I mentioned with Teen Court. There are different organizations you can join to improve your speaking. There are things you can do outside of school to solidify your writing. But I would say make sure that GPA is strong, because what I'm seeing now, even among minorities, is very competitive. That's my advice, number one. Number two, I think one of the things I did very well is networking. It was one Black attorney in my hometown, Alicia McDonald. She knew me. I would call her, even in high school, her assistant knew me, and I would just ask questions. So if you find somebody and they're willing to give you just a little bit of their time, use that network. And I think that has really helped catapult my career to where it is. I don't think I've interviewed for a job since I became an attorney. It's all been off of networking. So it's been one job after another, because people know who I am, or they sent me a job to apply for because they knew my work ethic, they knew me. And your job is for people, when the opportunity comes up, they think of your name first. So if you can do that, then you are on good terms. And then third of all, I wish I would have known that everybody wouldn't be excited about my dream. My dad was my biggest fan. But when he heard I was going to law school, he's like, but your undergrad is paid for, you got a master's degree that's paid for, why are you doing this? And I think he meant well. And it broke my heart at the time. But what I told myself is, this is my dream, and nobody is going to invest in this if I don't. And so what I would say to you, be prepared to go on this journey alone, and do what you need to do. And after that first year, when I made the dean's list and the honor roll, and I was the president of Boston, where I met Heather Washington, then my dad was like, okay, we on board now. We see the vision, but don't expect anybody to see the vision besides you. And so that's some of my advice for people.
Thank you so much, Attorney Williams, and thank you all for just sharing your transparent comments and also your experiences. I do want to point out to y'all, and especially the students, that please note that you don't have to major in a certain thing, it sounds like, in undergraduate in order to go to law school. So I just want to kind of put that out there to just kind of remind you and let you know. And then while we're kind of on the topic, a couple of people have mentioned the LSAT. Before I go into any questions from the audience, I wanted to ask each panelist, how did you prepare for the LSAT? And then what did it take for you to score well on the LSAT in order to get into law school? So let's say, assume that I have a great GPA in undergraduate. The GPA is solid. I got that. What about this LSAT though?
Well, let me start off, and I'm sure the rest of the panelists will have their take on it. Whatever endeavor you choose, you have to know what the requirements are. So if we're going to take your driving test, you know you need to study the rules of the road. You need to get a booklet. You can't just think that, oh, I know how to do this. And you might actually know how to drive, but you need the booklet because that's where the questions, the written questions, are going to come from. So you need to know the requirements. Same thing with getting into law school or any graduate school for that fact. That's what the requirement is, the LSAT, and as you heard from Attorney Williams, your GPA, your extracurricular activities, all those things are taken into consideration. So the LSAT, of course, is important from the standpoint of, one, I want to get into law school, and the better I do on the LSAT, the greater opportunities I will have from multiple law schools, as well as financial opportunities, because there may be some scholarships that will come your way through the score that you get on LSAT. So again, understand that that's a requirement. We all know here that there is no direct correlation between how well you do on the LSAT and how you're going to perform in law school, whether you're going to make, be the editor, whether you're going the law review editor, whether you're going to graduate at the top of your class. There's no direct correlation. But again, understand that that's the requirement. So you can't buck the system. You can't say, I don't care about it. You have to care about it. So how are you successful on the LSAT? What does it take? Well, most of us realize that we just can't do it on our own. You heard Attorney Williams talk about taking the Kaplan course, and there's probably 20, 30 different courses out there that you can take. That's what I did when I took the SAT and the ACT. I knew I couldn't do it on my own, so I got assistance. There's no shame in that, to get assistance. So I encourage people to go ahead and do that, because they'll give you the specific parameters that you need to understand and you need to learn so you can score well. This is a skill, taking these standardized exams. Most of us don't just have it naturally. We're not born with those abilities to just answer the specific way they want us to answer on those things. So take the course, get some assistance. And again, the better you do on the LSAT, the greater opportunities you'll have in terms of where you go to law school, how many opportunities in terms of law schools come your direction, who will go ahead and accept you. And then the key, I think, is the financial opportunities that will help you, because many people are coming out with law school debt that is tremendous, that is not always offset by the actual income and compensation they have when they graduate.
Well, I'll go next. How do you do better on the LSAT test? You practice, 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 practice. You take courses, you read, you practice some more, you practice until you can no more. It is a practice type of test. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself that I don't want to shock you, but I wanted you to keep it in mind. I was never the class A student. I could not say myself I was a class B student. I consider myself the bulk of it, a class C student. What I was a very hard working student, which makes a lot of difference. You work hard, you get to where you want to go. And the LSAT test, the LSAT, is one of the first things that will start getting you into a mode and organizing you as to going to law school because it's required. On my time, I did not have the ability, or I didn't have the luck that other my co-panelists had, where they had mentors, they had help, they had support. I didn't have any of that. So at my time, I thought I was reinventing the wheel. But now that you have this type of information that could guide you, lead you, give you ideas, then you know what to do. And what it takes is hard work, like everything else. So you prepare for the LSAT, and the LSAT is a score type of test. It's not the one that it determines everything about law school, because law school take into consideration other things like your background, your grades, your personal statement. So all those things are gonna help you, but take the LSAT, practice the best you can. I took some courses. I was very, very afraid. I took it twice because I wasn't happy with the score the first time. The second time I did better. But just practice and go out there and do it. Listen, law school is a commitment, and you have to commit yourself to do whatever it takes for you to get to law school. So don't be afraid of these things. Don't be intimidated. Just go out there and get it done and pour your heart into it. Do it. Work as hard as you can. If you don't have the support, don't worry about it. You're doing this for yourself. Your family will be very proud of you once you become a lawyer, trust me. And just get it done. If this is what you want from your heart, it'll happen.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. I appreciate that. I would also like to remind y'all that we have our panelists who have entered now. We have Attorney William Brown. Attorney Brown, I did have an opportunity to share your bio earlier with the panel, so feel free to tell us a little bit about your journey into law school.
Thank you, and I apologize for being late to the meeting. As you can imagine, being a corporate attorney, you have clients that have extraordinary demands on your time, and they don't care what time of day it is in some cases. And so I just had to jump from one meeting to the next. But originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and my father was a victim of police brutality when I was young, and he was a Vietnam veteran, but he still instilled in us a sense of pride in our country, in our community, and a commitment to doing what's right. And so from his experience, he encouraged me to follow my passion for justice and for doing what's right, because too many times we don't know the law, or we don't have someone that's advocating on our behalf that know the law. And so that's why I went on to law school. And from there, I joined the military as my father did. We had a long family history of military service. As a lawyer, I served for 21 years, just retired last year. And now I'm a corporate attorney at USA in their corporate regulatory office, focusing on banking regulatory law, as well as insurance regulatory law. And so to Justice, is it Laporte?
Laporte, yes.
As she just mentioned, it doesn't matter where you started, it's where you end up. And I was a poor Black kid from the inner city of St. Louis, and now I'm a corporate attorney for a Fortune 100 company. You can do it if you focus on what's most important first. And a lot of times you have to be selfish in a good way, meaning that you have to spend the time studying, uh, sacrificing, not going to parties, not going to other events when everybody else want to have a fun. And you have to really focus on what's most important to you. And what are the things that are important? You have to think backwards. Have you ever thought about where you're trying to get to and what it takes to get there? So she mentioned the Lsat earlier. What score do you need to get on the Lsat, not to get admitted into law school, but to get some scholarship money from law school? Because I know folks who have gotten full rides at Wake Forest and other law schools based off their Lsat scores and their GPA. So what GPA do you need? What letters of recommendations will help you? When I was at Vanderbilt, right after I graduated, I volunteered. I didn't clerk, I volunteered because I was just coming out of undergrad for a judge who was running for retention for the bench. And so he said, well, you can travel with me across Tennessee as I run for retention. And so he turned out to become the first African-American Chief Justice of the Tennessee Supreme Court, Adolfo Birch. And he wrote me a letter of recommendation to law school. Well, that looks pretty good on your resume. And so you want to volunteer, seek out mentors, people that can write letters of recommendations for you for law school that will have some influence. And so you put all that in place. And then what you want to look at is, what type of law school do you want to go to? And I just pretty much laid out a list of the top historically Black colleges, private colleges, Ivy League, and state schools. And then pull out their catalogs and see what does it take to get into those schools. And so that's what you need to be focusing on, is not being caught off guard, because I didn't really have anybody to tell me that, hey, you need to score this on the LSAT. You need this GPA. You should go to law school here. I applied to 12 law schools and got into 11. Some people don't get into one. And the reason why was because of where I went to undergrad, I think, at Vanderbilt, and because of the letters of recommendations I got, because my GPA wasn't the strongest. How do I get into 11 law schools? So you have to look at it from that standpoint. And also, once I joined the military as a lawyer, that's a large law firm. We practice in every area of the law. So I've done labor law, international law, litigation. I served with Judge Manning, who's on the call today. And so you want to pick what areas you want to practice in, and not just be led to a particular area. Because when you look back, like we're looking back, 5, 10, 20 years, and you're saying, well, how much money am I making? What is my lifestyle? What type of time I want to spend with my family? And a lot of that is driven by what area of the law you practice, because your clients have certain demands, and then you may want a certain, and I'm gonna shut up, but those are the types of things I would recommend, is look at things backwards, like a funnel, and look at all the milestones and benchmarks you need to hit and sacrifice selfishly in a good way so that you can reach those milestones. Thank you.
We've hit a little bit on basically kind of having a mentor, reaching out to someone to assist or maybe to help and guide students who are looking to go to law school. A question from our audience is, how should undergraduate students go about approaching an attorney for an internship or shadow opportunity? Like, how would you like students to approach you basically during these situations? What will be appropriate?
I'll take the first lead on that one. I think number one, it's really good to reach out, have a mentor, ask for help, but also number one, have something to provide to them. if you can be of a service in any way, I think Attorney Brown hit on it. He said that he found the judge that he wanted to work with. He showed the judge some way that he could be of assistance too. So I think a mentor-mentee relationship is not all take. You need to find a way to give back as well, because I think that's super beneficial. Number one, it is super annoying for me, and I'm speaking to people, for you to ask for my time and I give you my advice and you do not take it. You do not follow through on the things I ask you to do. And then the next call we have, you haven't done what I asked you to do. And so I think that, I may not ever say anything to you, but don't think I didn't pay attention. I saw that. And so I think if you're asking for someone's help, their expertise, don't waste their time, be respectful, follow up, and find some way to be of assistance, even if it's little. And I'll let our other panelists piggyback off of that.
Well, I think doing an internship and volunteering with a job with a judge is an excellent thing, and I will welcome anybody to try to do so. What you need to do is to reach out to a particular judge or to a particular court and request to see if they have any internships available. It could happen internships during the summer, internships during the regular semester, depending on what you're looking for. Personally, I could tell you, I share with you that also in the Supreme Court in Brooklyn, there is a program that targets high school students and that targets law school students to come and do internship with the judges in Supreme Court or in criminal court. But the judges are not the only ones that are available. You could also be exposed to the law in other offices. And you could do a number of things in terms of getting exposed to the law and getting experience. You could also do internship with the district attorney's office. You could also do internship with the public defender's offices. And those are excellent offices for you to get experience from. You could also do it with private corporations like Attorney Brown. He works for a corporation. You could do that. You could do it with Attorney Washington, who is an excellent attorney, and she already is building up her name out there. You could also visit the court system. You don't have to wait for all these things to happen. Visit the court system. Look what they do. Visit the criminal court, the family court, landlord tenant, civil court, and see if this is something that you really want. Because a lot of times we want to be lawyers, but then when we go to law school, we find out that that's not the career that we wanted. And, we are in this bind that, okay, my dad wanted me to be a lawyer. I really don't want to be a lawyer. What am I doing here? You don't want to find yourself in that situation. And remember, I told you that law school is a 3 years commitment. And I'm going to be honest and blunt with you. Law school is hard. Law school is hard and law school is demanding. But on the other hand, I'm going to tell you, you can do it. The only thing you need is, as Attorney Brown says, you have to sacrifice. You have to do less entertainment outside and concentrate more in the school. It can be done. I did it. And I'm telling you, I was confused as anybody could be in law school. Learning English in college and then not knowing that much English still yet. And then I decided to go to law school, which is a completely different language. Not having any money, not having any support, or not having mentors. I just learned about the word mentor about a couple of years ago. Not having any of this, but I had the audacity to do it.
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need the commitment. You need the strength. You need to know that this is what you want. And you will get it, but you will be exposed as to so many things. And let me tell you, once you get involved with the Lord, you will not want to leave because you're going to love it the same way I do. Yeah. Trust me.
And if I can add two things to that commitment piece. If there's a problem, it's because you don't have a process. Okay, so if your problem is being successful in law school, it's because you don't have a process. If your problem is not being able to get an internship or find a mentor or what have you, is you don't have a process. So you need to write out your process of how you want to accomplish those things. For example, if you're seeking a mentor, you have local bar associations that do what? They meet every month. Lawyers in every practice area. You can attend their meetings. You can introduce yourselves to lawyers in various areas of practice. That's what my niece did when she moved down here to Texas. Next thing you know, she has a letter of recommendation from a judge, from a corporate attorney, and now she's in law school. Well, I'm sorry, she's graduated from law school and has passed the Texas bar. So she had a process in order to solve the problem that she was trying to solve. The other piece I wanted to mention was while you're in law school, it's important to be on one of the journals. If you don't grade onto the journal, write onto the journal. It's important to participate in moot court competitions. It's important to do those other things to build your resume, including being a part of the bar association or at your law school, and building your resume out to distinguish you from someone who just went to law school. Well, what else did you do? Were you on moot court? Were you on a law journal? Were you an officer with the Bar Association, the Black Law Student Association? What did you do other than look out for yourself? I mean, there's got to be some additional contribution there. So those are things I recommend. Those are the things that I did in law school. I also helped with a local political campaign. So I served where we elected the first African-American mayor of the city of St. Louis, Freeman Bosley. And so those things help too, that shows your civic commitment. So I would recommend building your resume out as you are building your GPA up. So.
And Patricia, if I could add briefly, because I know you probably have other questions from the audience, a mentorship is not going to fall into your lap. You're not going to be sitting at home or sitting in your car and mentors are going to gravitate to you. You have to go out there and find them. And it's easy though, it's not hard. It just takes some effort on your part. As you've heard, go to the local courthouse and you can literally just sit there. It's your courthouse. It doesn't belong to the judges, doesn't belong to the attorneys. It's your courthouse. Either your tax dollars or your parents or your guardians' tax dollars pay for it. So go to the courthouse, sit there and observe. Eventually the bailiff is going to come up, ask you who you are, and you're going to say, I'm a high school student and I wanted to meet the judge. Or I'm a college student and I'm interested in law school and I wanted to see what the attorneys are doing. And then you're going to talk to an attorney, you're going to get a business card, the bailiff is going to take you up to meet the judge, and then you'll have that relationship moving forward from there. I will tell you what, as you've heard a couple of folks say, what irks me is someone coming to me asking me for a letter of recommendation. I've barely seen them, I hardly know them, and they're asking me to provide a recommendation for them to go to law school or for a job. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because they didn't take the time to get to know who I am, what I do, how I do it, and to be able to express to me what their interests are. So you're not going to get a mentor by looking at TikTok. You're not going to get a mentor by being on Instagram or Facebook. It's not going to happen that way. You're going to have to get out there. And even during COVID, there are still ways that you can go ahead and interact. Even at a social distance like we're doing now, you can still get out there and participate. So it's no excuse not to be able to do it. It just takes some effort. It takes commitment, as you've already heard.
Right. It does take that commitment. And also, and I'll put out there that corporations like USA, where I'm an attorney at, Toyota, all these major corporations have in-house legal offices. And they have internship programs every single summer. So you can apply for those internship programs. And if I see your resume come across the table, you best believe you're going to have my attention. And once we build a relationship, my voice when they're talking about who they're going to select for the next summer class of interns.
Attorneys are everywhere.
I'm going to mention something very quickly that I noticed. The irony is that students, brown and black or African Americans, they do not apply for this internship. They do not seek and look for this internship. I do not know if it's because they don't know about it, or because they are intimidated by it, or because they feel that they are not good enough or they're not gonna get it. You guys have to start applying for these things, and not only apply, but you have to start asking questions. You have to look for the information. I just put it out there. And I'm sorry, Attorney Washington, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You were okay, no worries. I was just gonna add one more thing too. I echo what everyone has just said. In addition, I was just gonna say, when you are at networking events, I would highly suggest you collect business cards from everybody that you come in contact with. What I used to do, because you're gonna go home with so many, you're gonna be like, oh, who's who? So what I used to do is I would take a business card and then I would jot down a note on the back of it about that person. So how I can remember them, like, oh, this was the lady who, you know, we talked about hair, or, you know, because sometimes conversation goes outside of legal stuff, or this is the guy who told me that there was an internship available at USAA, or, you know, so jot down a note so you know who's who. And that night or the next day, make sure you send emails to all of those people, you know, follow up with them, let them know that it was great meeting them. And, you know, be honest, put yourself out there, let them know I'm looking for a mentorship. I'm looking for an internship. I'm looking for whatever. I highly welcome in those kind of emails and phone calls. Now that things are virtual, it's a little bit different because you're probably not seeing as many people in person. But when you're at events like this, you have all of our names. You have all of our names in the bottom of our little boxes. You can write down all those names. You can look me up on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm sure everybody else is too. I welcome messages. Please feel free. I'm sure everyone else does too. But take advantage of the opportunities. When you get someone's name, reach out, follow up. Continue to follow up. You want to build those kind of connections. I would gladly, I'm in Michigan, everything's closed right now, but I would gladly bring people to court with me, do all those kind of things. We don't have that opportunity right now because everything's closed, but at some point it'll open back up. And I believe things are open in Florida, where I'm assuming most people are. So you have those opportunities, take advantage of them.
And if you don't have a LinkedIn account, get a LinkedIn account. And you can create your own business cards with your name, your law school, your LinkedIn account, and email address. And when you go to those events that Heather was talking about, pass out, exchange business cards. And just take it to a graduate level, professional level, and you'll get a response.
Attorney Brown is right. I did have cards when I was in law school that I would pass around. And one of the things I would do the same thing as Attorney Washington. I would remember if you had kids, if your anniversary was coming up, like I was the person who remembered all the little details about you. So they were like, oh, that Adrianette girl, like she remembers. But it was because I would jot it down on the back of that card, some little things about you, and I would just put it in like an Excel worksheet and I will follow up. Now, once you have that relationship, check back in. And I remember when I studied abroad, all my mentors, when I went to Oxford, I would send pictures back to all of them. We went to the tower today, I went to the ends of courts, and I would send these pictures back. And so that person would say, oh, how was your trip to Oxford when I got back? So you want to build a relationship where they know a little bit about you professionally and what you're trying to do.
You're exactly right. And because we're not in the shoemaking business, we're in the people business. So it's all about people and personal relationship and networking. And when you're coming, you're not always coming with an ask, but you're coming with an opportunity to build that relationship out further. So I definitely endorse exactly what she said. That was right on point.
Awesome. I'm going to take another question from the audience. This one says, I was wondering if any of the panelists have advice for non-traditional students. I'm in my late 30s. I have 3 children and I run a business. How can one balance those responsibilities with law school? And do you believe life experience is valuable in law school?
Well, I think a number of us are non-traditional. I didn't go to law school right out of undergrad. As you heard, I was in the military, served with Attorney Brown, but I had enlisted when I was 17. So I was enlisted, and then I went back into the military after undergrad. So I did that for a number of years. So I was one of the oldest people in my law school class. When I entered, I had a family. I had 2 daughters that were fairly young. So I had all the things that the person asking has brought up. I was involved. I had family requirements, other outside requirements. Law school wasn't the only thing on my plate. It was certainly the priority, and I made it a priority, what Justice Laporte was talking about. If you want this, work hard. You could make it happen. And so I see it all the time. 2 of the best mentees that I have are non-traditional law students. They're in their 40s and 50s, and they come around the courthouse as much as possible. They, in fact, I'm doing oral arguments this weekend for a trial skills class, and they're going to be involved in that. So they excel because they have life experience, they have work experience, they have some extensive knowledge, and they're doing very well because they're applying all that to their studies. So I have seen non-traditional students excel because of everything they bring to the table. Of course, it's all about balancing. It's all about time management. Those are skills that you have to master in addition to learning the law and all the other extracurricular things that Attorney Washington talked about and Attorney Brown and others were discussing. So it's a great opportunity. The law is a great opportunity for non-traditional folks because you bring a whole wealth of knowledge to what we do on a daily basis. And I have actually seen younger students that are going through law school, and when we're engaging in cases, I teach criminal law and criminal procedure. And so some of them just have no frame of reference. And that's not a negative thing. It's just they don't have a whole lot of life experience versus some people that have lived, have had multiple occupations, different jobs. They bring all that, whether it's in the medical field, whether it's in the engineering field, all of those things assist them as we're learning about this thing called law.
I am also a non-traditional, I consider myself a non-traditional student, law school student going to attending law school. I remembered, I told you when I came here, it took me a while. It took me about 10 years to complete my bachelor's degree. Then I went on to do my master's degree. So the years went by. And then when I went to law school, I was on my early 30s. So even though those my age was up there, and I made a decision that I was going to go to law school. Age is not a handicap, but should not interfere in your life. Yes, we have other responsibilities. I understand that people have children. When I went to law school, I did not have any children on my own, but I went to law school with other people that had children, that had, other type of responsibilities, husbands, wives, and family members that depended on them. And you know what, as Judge Manning said, you just have to manage it. You just have to make a plan. You just have to look for people that are going to be supported, who's going to support you with your family, with your children. Are you going to bring your children to the law school you're going to be attending out of state, or are you going to stay in the same neighborhood? Bring family members in, bring friends in to help you out. Listen, you don't have to go through this by yourself. Just have a plan. And so you could concentrate on school more, but it's not impossible. You just have to make a plan, manage it, have a support system, and then go out there and do it.
Antoine?
All right. Just to answer the question, I'm also a non-traditional student as well. So I think there is a value. And I just wanted to highlight the fact that when law schools are looking at you, they want to look at diverse candidates. So you being a non-traditional student, I think that also helps you when it comes to schools. Like, for example, at my school, I went to FAMU Law for college, for law school, and we had a lot of individuals that were second career students, and a lot of them were night students. So a lot of what most of them did is obviously they took the night school version of law school, which it takes an additional year, but a lot of them had full-time jobs, but they were coming to school at nighttime. I'm not saying that's what the path for everyone to take, but just to let her, whomever asked that question, know that there are opportunities out there for you to be able to work as well as go to law school at the same time. And also, I wanted to say one thing that we were talking a lot about with respects to networking and things like that. What is important, it's good for you to be in the room, but you got to make sure that your presence is known in the room. That's very important as well, because you can sit in the room all day and people will see you, but if you're sitting in the room and you're feeling inferior, or you're sitting in a room and you're afraid to be seen and heard, it's not going to help you. You have to understand that you are enough and you are supposed to be there. So make sure that people know who you are and be yourself, be authentic. And I think when you're authentic with people, that also helps you with networking as well.
Yeah. And I think
drive home the point, I wanted to say, like, I too am a non-traditional student. I believe all of us are. I went to law school later in life. It's something that can definitely be done. There are modifications. I know initially when I started law school, I was still working full time. So I was doing some evening classes like Attorney Daniels stated. I also went to a school that had weekend classes at the time. So I was able to take weekend classes. That's not really common. I'm not sure my law school still offers the weekend classes, but I was able to modify my schedule that way. So it didn't interfere with my work day, and I was still able to work and pay all my bills. I didn't have kids or anything that I had to care for, but I still had other responsibilities. At some point, I did make a choice to quit my full-time job and go to school full-time, but I know plenty of people who maintained full-time jobs while they were in law school, while they were studying for the bar exam. It can definitely be done. I was by far not the oldest person in my law school class. I was in class with people who were 40s, 50s, 60s in law school, so don't ever feel like you're too old to do it. I graduated law school in my 30s. And it was perfectly fine. I've met plenty of people in the field of practice who, like myself, it's been a second career for them. So they're a little bit older doing this, but you bring a wealth of knowledge. Real world experience is something that you can't get going from undergrad to law school, and it's valuable. It's very valuable. I was a social worker before going to law school, and my experience as a social worker has greatly helped me in the field of law. It's been amazing. So that real world experience is valuable. So just realize that.
Yep. Yeah, I guess as my colleagues mentioned, I was an untraditional student, all of the above. So I went to school late because I worked in corporate America for a company called Pitney Bowes. And then I was married and I had children. And my wife was in medical school. Well, not medical school. She was finishing up her pediatric residency. So it was a very challenging time for us, but it goes by faster than you think. And having that experience that you bring to the table from prior work experience, whether it's in working for a community service organization, social work, as you mentioned, or corporate America, all that helps you, because when you're studying the law, you'll see different areas of the law that you may have interest in, or you can contribute to based upon your past experience, whether it's if you were in a car accident before, now you're studying torts. You're like, oh, okay, that's why this happened, that happened. Or like with my father's situation in criminal law, okay, that's why this happened, that didn't happen. So you can bring solutions where a lot of answers haven't been put in place, and you could be the difference. You can create precedents in the law. That happens, and you could be the one to do it.
Thank you for.
Can I mention something very quickly, just for the people out there that are undecided because of the age? When I went to law school, there was a 73-year-old surgeon in my class, and he was an inspiration to all of us. And when he graduated, he was 76, something like that. And we all help and each other. And a person that goes to law school later, I think it brings a lot to the school, to the profession. I think it does. It is very valuable.
Okay, thank you guys for that. In an effort to really answer this question, one of the things I realized is that there are no students on this panel. However, I do know a couple of the people in the audience, and I'm going to ask one person that I know who is a 50-year-old law student. She told me I could say this. She is a wife, she is a mother, and she is killing the game. She drags me into all of her endeavors, and she's still doing well. Ms. Delmassey, can you unmute yourself and put your video on so I can bring you up quickly, and then we'll move on to another question in the interest of time. This event is almost over. So if you can make your remarks very quick, that would be awesome.
Thank you so much. And for our panelists, for our final question, I just want to ask you to share maybe some good words of encouragement or maybe advice that you may have for our students who are watching us today.
I'll start this one. Some advice for you is just be your authentic self in every situation that you're in. You know, for example, I'm a proud Black man. I'm that, and I carry that with me everywhere that I go. So never try to be something other than you're not. So for example, when I go into a courtroom, how dare I forget about where I come from? You know, I grew up in the projects. I grew up with a single parent mother. You know, I grew up around, you know, some people that did some criminal activity. So when I go into a courtroom, I take that experience with me and I don't judge anyone. You know what I mean? So be able to relate to individuals and never try to act as if you're not who you are. And don't be afraid to be that. You know, as a public defender, when I first started, that was one of the things that I had to keep in mind every time I went into a courtroom. So that way I was able to speak and relate to my clients and actually stand beside them as opposed to just speaking for them, if that makes sense to you. So never forget where you come from and make sure you apply that experience into everything that you do in this career. I think that'll take you a long way and people will see the authenticity in you as well.
All right, I'll go next. Well, my advice to all of you, and I don't know any of your backgrounds, but just taking where I came from, I'm going to tell you that life is about choices. And whatever you choose to do in life, that's what is going to determine who you're going to be. And you could choose to go to the right, you could choose to go to the left. But whatever you decide, you have to be content and happy with. Life, you're gonna fail, you're gonna win, you're gonna lose sometimes. But it doesn't matter how many times you fail. What it matters is how many times you get up and keep on moving, because that's what is important. And where you come from, it's not gonna determine who you're gonna be. So if this is something that you wanna be, and maybe you decide that you didn't want to be a lawyer at one point, but whatever you decide in life, make sure that this is what you want. This is your passion. Because when you bring passion into it, it makes a big difference. Just take advantage of everything out there that is available to you. It doesn't cost anything to ask. It doesn't cost anything to help. And it doesn't cost anything to care. So all those things you should bring with you, whatever you want to do. Treat people with care and decency the same way you want to be treated yourself. But if you do want to go to law school and become a lawyer, be the best you can. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter how you sound. It doesn't matter what happened to you in the past. What it matters is what you're going to bring to the table and what you're going to bring to your community. Listen, I don't consider myself the smartest person in the world, but at this point, I am very smart. I don't care if I speak with an accent. I don't care the way I look. And for many years, my self-esteem and my confidence was so low because I was so worried about that I was too dark to be a lawyer, and I was too dark, too black to be a judge, and I spoke with an accent, and I defeated myself of a lot of opportunities. I grew up very shy. I will not speak for anything. Today, they will not. People cannot turn me off even if they wanted to. Remember when I told you I came here to be a flight attendant and I had to learn the English language? Yes, I did. And today still I make mistakes, but listen, mistakes are correctable. But if I have to do it again, I would. And today I stand before you as the first Puerto Rican woman elected in the county of Brooklyn, and the county of Brooklyn Kings, that have sat in the Supreme Court in Brooklyn, in the state of New York. Did I ever dream about that? No, I just came here to be just a flight attendant. But you never know what God has in store for you. And you know what? I'm blessed. And I am blessed and I am thankful for all the opportunities that God put on my way and for all the people that God put on my way that helped me in those little moments. For those, I'm thankful. But you have to do the work. You have to work hard. You have to be committed. You have to be determined. And in life, you get out. Life is like a bank. You put in what you put in life. That's what you're gonna get out of it. You put in $10, you cannot expect to get out 100. So if you put a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of sacrifices and everything, you're gonna get a lot of it. So to all of you, I wish you the best. And I hope you look forward and you pursue a career in law. It's an awesome career, and I'm telling you, if I have to do it again, I will do it the same way. And I remember when I told you that I wanted it to be a flight attendant. Well, some years ago, when I was in the DA's office, I applied and Delta Express hired me. So that means that I am employable by the airline. Maybe when I retired, I go back and give it a try. But it's not because I need to, it's because I want to. So good luck to all of you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Judge. I think that was amazing. Everybody on this panel, first of all, Justice Laporte, awesome story. I know each of these panelists individually, and I actually just met Attorney Brown, but awesome stories. Justice Laporte, you heard her story. I don't need to expound on that. Judge Manning, coming from a background, non-traditional, military, really working his way up to the bench. We didn't even really get to highlight that portion. There's so much more to each of these individuals. We have Attorney Brown, who's worked through the military and now is in corporate America. We have Attorney Washington, my favorite part of her story. She worked as in the government, went to private practice, in private practice, realized it wasn't for her. Got fired from that job and now settled the Flint water Michigan crisis for over $600-something million. And this is her first year in her own firm. We have Attorney Daniels, who has worked for the government and now is working for an insurance company and just really guide the people, really giving back. And then we have Patricia Hartley, who loves education, loves entertainment, and I think has been the amazing moderator for this event. So to wrap this up, I want to thank you guys. You did not have to spend this time with us today. I appreciate it. I thank each of the individuals on this panel for your time. If they are willing,
one thing before we dismiss.
I will. And if you are willing, I will let you give if they're willing to give me their email addresses, I will send it out. I have a list of all the attendees. I will send it to them. And also I will give that list to you guys so that you will have it if they're willing to let you contact them. Look them up through LinkedIn as well. I will be remiss if I did not thank the American Bar Association. One of the mandates is that we are realizing that people of color are not entering the practice of law. People of color are not staying in the practice of law. And I'm here to tell you, you belong here. There are people who look just like you, same hair, Southern drawl, or accents. It does not matter. That does not stop you from being great. So with that being said, I'm going to momentarily hand it to Attorney Brown. Attorney Brown, please make the comments, quickly quick, and then we're going to
Very quickly, I know we're at time. Nothing is guaranteed. Graduating from law school is not guaranteed. Guard your integrity.
Yes.
If something happens in school, if somebody cheat on a test or whatever, guard your integrity. Tell the truth. I had a situation that I ran into, and another student, he lied, they kicked him out. I told the truth, and I'm where I am today. Guard your integrity. And when you're practicing law, guard your bar license, because that can be taken away too. So people may ask you to do things that are not right. Don't do it, because this is a gateway for you and your family that will have generational changes. Because of what these lawyers on here are doing today, their grandkids will never go hungry. No matter what their kids do, them grandbabies gonna always be taken care of. So guard your integrity, guard your license, and understand what you're doing today will have generational changes for you and your family.
Okay. Thank y'all so much, everybody, for being with us. That is our time right there at 12:30. Again, thank you again for being with us. The recording will be available later. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.